Open borders, shameful abandonment, disregard for human life, the prospect of more mandates and lockdowns, and the list goes on. Now more than ever, we need to stick together. Voting alone is not enough. We must use our dollars to support like-minded companies that fight for our rights and beliefs. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to conservative causes. With your support, we'll give more than $1.5 million this year. It's time to band together and support companies that truly love America and fight for our freedoms. Will you join us?
This is Kentucky's Voice Radio, covering the latest state and local issues with Tom Fallbush, Bob Scott, and Jim Waters.
Hello, Kentuckiana. I'm your special host, Dr. Lance Pearson with the Kentucky Liberty Caucus and the Louisville Tea Party. You're listening to Kentucky's Voice, likely on 970 AM WGTX, and we thank you for your listenership. I do want to first tell all of our listeners of the other ways that they can view and or listen to this show. We will have a rebroadcast or broadcast of other content that we've made before on Channel 21 on Spectrum TV at 12:30, 4, and 7 p.m. So I encourage you to go if you instead of maybe watching another hour of that national news, go ahead and switch over and listen to some good Kentucky and Louisville area conservative news. Okay. We also have a Facebook live stream. We have a YouTube live stream. You can find either of those channels by searching for Kentucky's Voice on either Facebook or YouTube. Those YouTube videos are archived. You can go to our channel and then search the live tab, and you can see some of our old shows, the full shows, or if you click on the videos, you can sometimes see clips from our show that are really interesting or just in smaller segments, if that's your taste. I do also want to encourage you that we are a listener-supported radio program / podcast / TV show that comes with expenses, and we are listener-supported. So if you have a few extra dollars, either on a monthly recurring basis or just a one-time donation, we would encourage you to go to kyvoice.org. That's kyvoice.org on your browser. There will be a button up top that says donate, and you'll be able to figure out what makes sense for you. If you enjoy conservative opinion and conservative talk on the radio, I don't think there's a better station than 970 AM to find that. And we would love your support for this program, Kentucky's Voice. Okay, we have a jam-packed show today. We're going to have, I believe, 7 different candidates for races all over the state of Kentucky, but with a couple of Louisville-specific candidates, which is the bulk of our audience. But we do have audience in some of the collar counties, and we have 2 candidates for that. So let me just run down the lineup of who we have. First, we will have Maria Rodriguez on after our first break. She is running for U.S. House 3. That's a seat currently held by Morgan McGarvey. After that, we will have Nancy Lynn Walters, who is running for Louisville Metro Council in 13. That's kind of Anchorage, Springhurst area. We will have Joe Redmond. I believe he's from Meade County, but he is running for one of those collar county seats. And he is, that current seat is occupied by Nancy Tate, who is retiring. So we brought him on to talk a little bit about that race. After that, I think we will have Stephen Carney and Dallas Robinson, who are both running for state senate in LaRue, Marion, Nelson, Spencer, and Washington counties. So this is a seat that Jimmy Higdon is retiring from. And we've got 2 great candidates that are going to come on and talk about their perspective on that race and what they're trying to get accomplished if you tomorrow do make it to the polls and vote for them. And then on our final segment, we're going to try to get on some Northern Kentucky candidates for state rep. Those are Scott Berger and Cole Cusick. All right, before we go to the break, I want to talk about something that happened to me personally. As you know, am up on all local politics, and I want to find out about candidates however I can. On Thursday of last week, I was invited to attend a campaign event for Ed Gowrine, who's running against Thomas Massie in the 4th District. So I was invited to this. I RSVP'd to the event and showed up at Bully's Barbecue, which is just in Goshen, right across the Louisville border, the Louisville border into Oldham County. And before the event even started and before anyone said anything, I was asked to leave that event. Apparently, he did not want to have anyone asking any kind of hard questions of the candidate, and so I politely left, but take that into consideration. Join us after the break when we're going to talk about an overview of politics and what Election Day is going to look like tomorrow.
Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
Welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. I'm your special host, Dr. Lance Pearson, with the Kentucky Liberty Caucus as well as the Louisville Tea Party. You are listening to us likely on 970 AM. I want to remind our viewers, you can find rebroadcasts of this on the YouTube channel or the Facebook channel for Kentucky's Voice. Okay. Election Day is tomorrow. This is for all the marbles as far as the primary elections go. I think it's November 3rd, November 5th. Those are the general elections, but most of these races will be decided tomorrow because whichever Republican or Democrat, or even in our nonpartisan elections, really once we know who's going to be on the ballot in the fall, we usually know who is going to win. So I can't emphasize how important getting out to vote, if you have not already, is tomorrow. I believe the times for all counties in Kentucky are 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That certainly is the time in Jefferson County. So, again, just do your basic civic duty. Get out there. If there's no line, it takes 5 minutes. I only had 4 races on my entire ballot. So make sure you know who you want to vote for those 4 races. We'll be talking about some candidates all over the state that are running, and so you can be better informed. All right. The first thing I want to talk about before I get to our guests is endorsements. If you've listened to my program for a long time, you've heard how little I think of most endorsements. I want to know why I should be voting for a candidate, not just I kind of like them, and if you like me, you should vote for them. I don't really that isn't a strong reason for me to vote for anything. I want to be informed, make up my own mind, and I definitely don't want people outside of this state telling me who I should vote for my rep in the state of Kentucky. So I encourage you to do your own research. I do want to talk about a couple of endorsements that have happened, and I want to put one caveat. I do have a little bit of respect for organizations that endorse. They have particular policy positions and ideology, and they vet candidates based on that ideology. And so we'll talk about some of that in a second. So can I bring up first an endorsement from 2022 for Representative Thomas Massie? If you're watching this online, let me read it. It's from Donald J. Trump. Congressman Thomas Massie is a conservative warrior for Kentucky's 4th Congressional District. He's an MIT graduate and a first-rate defender of the Constitution, and he fights hard to protect your liberties, especially the First and Second Amendment, which are under siege by the radical left. He's strong on law and order in our military and our vets. Thomas Massie has my complete and total endorsement. Now, that obviously has changed recently. President Trump has endorsed Thomas Massie's opponent in this race, but I would ask you, Has Thomas Massie changed at all? I would argue he hasn't. He's had a consistent ideology, and so take that into consideration when you enter those polls. All right, if we've got our second image up, the Republican Liberty Caucus. This is not associated, by the way, with the Kentucky Liberty Caucus, and I had no input on this list of candidates. These are candidates for State House, State Senate, and also one congressional district. If you're watching online, I personally have had on almost all of these people on our show, so you've been able to listen to them, but this is a pretty good guide. I do want to pitch out for a couple of other people that I've had on the show. And if we can go to the next image. One of those candidates is not on the screen. This is the person that Bill Wesley is running against for State Senate and House 30. I did a show about 3 weeks ago about all of the scandals that have been plaguing this gentleman, whose name is Brandon Smith. Those include 2 lawsuits that he is in the midst of. He was arrested for a DUI traveling to the State General Assembly, and he tried to get out of it by saying the Constitution lets him do basically anything he wants, including drinking and driving on his way to session. So it turns out that, and you saw in that image, that one of those lawsuits has actually just gotten its first judgment. His company was convicted of basically conducting fraud with a Chinese company that he was contracting to hire employees to do Bitcoin mining operations, fixing Bitcoin mining GPUs and computer systems. And so the first of those judgments came down only 2 or 3 days ago, and he is on the hook currently for about $51 million for essentially committing a type of fraud in the contracting that he had with this Chinese company. So if you've watched our show multiple times, you've heard what a strong patriot Bill Wesley is. I encourage you to clean up our state legislature, and that means being informed about who you're voting for. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but I don't want any kind of corruption or the stench of corruption around my state legislature. All right. I also want to give a shout out to the people that we had on our program last week. We had Brett Schultz. We had Donald Pay and Daniel Cobble, who are running for a race that I will have another candidate who is running for that race coming on. And I also want to mention that Jeff Hensley is also up for re-election, and Andrew Simpson, who I think was on that previous list. So I want to thank all of those people for coming on our show, and let's get into our interviews today. We have 7 candidates, and the first of those is Maria Rodriguez. Can you say hi to our listeners?
Hello, everyone. And Lance, thank you for having me here.
Yep. All right, let's get right into it. No time to waste. Maria Rodriguez, again, is running for U.S. House 3. That's the seat that's currently occupied by Morgan McGarvey. She is running on the Republican primary, where there will be 3 or 4 candidates. So just tell our listeners, tell our viewers a little bit about, your background and your connection to the city.
Well, I came to Louisville in 2009. My family and I are refugees, political refugees, because my family was Catholic. We're Catholics. And in Cuba, it was prohibited to believe in God and go to church. My family, being Catholic, was persecuted for that reason. And for a long period of time, my mom fought in Cuba, and she didn't want to leave until the government gave her 2 options. You either get out or get hurt. And she was a single mother of 3 kids, so she didn't have any other options than to accept that. And it took us 11 years to come to America. We didn't have family in the States, and pretty much Louisville was the place where the government had place for us, and this is home since.
Yeah. Now, so you've been here for quite a while. What is it that you do for a job? What do you do now, basically?
I am a proud emergency department nurse. I work at our level 1 trauma center, and my first job was a slaughterhouse. So I didn't start it just because it was like it was the only place that will hire people with no English. I didn't know English when I moved to the States. It was water, potato, tomato. Yeah. So I had to go to JCTC and do English as a second language while raising my kids. Then we started a business. We built a carpet cleaning and restoration business, and then far on down the road, I decided just to go and follow my dream, which was to go back to healthcare.
Yeah.
I went back to nursing school because it was also a dream, like, and combine that dream with what can I do to give that love back to Louisville and all that, appreciation for America for giving me all those opportunities.
Right.
So I went back to school, got my nursing degree, and I'm a proud trauma nurse in our level 1 hospital. And I take care of Louisville families every day at their worst, and that really fulfill me as a human, and that gives a meaning to my life, being able to be the person who takes care of somebody when they're experiencing one of the worst days of their life.
Okay, that's a powerful story and a testament to the power of legal immigration. She came here, she immigrated
Amen.
here, and has worked her way all the way up to a trauma nurse. Basically, you could wind up she may save your life at some point. We'll just say that. Okay, let's get to the race. What are the things that you think are priorities in this race, and what is it that you're running on? What is it that you want to do if you get elected to this position?
Well, as somebody who came from a communist and socialist country, I can see where our country is heading towards with the democratic agenda. That's why I decided to run, because I am happy as a nurse, but I'm also passionate about educating people about the risk and what is the dangers of socialism and communism, because people don't understand that. Unless you have lived that, you will not understand it. And many people like to debate about socialism and communism because they read it in a book, but there is a very significant difference from somebody who lived through it and had to escape that, and somebody who never set a foot in a communist country or a socialist country and have no idea what they are asking for. I am running in some of my basic pillars for my campaign. It's I defend the Constitution and our Second Amendment. I'm a proud American. I support legal immigration. My family waited 11 years to come to America the right way. I'm also 100% pro-life. And it's because I have a duty to God before I have a duty to anything else. And I also believe in free markets and capitalism. As a small business owner, I know how hard the government and their bureaucracy makes for small business owners to succeed and to overcome all those obstacles that they place in your way. I also believe that Kentucky families deserve to keep more of their paycheck. So lowering taxes is one of my big stands in this campaign, as well as safer streets, because there is no way that Louisville families should be afraid to walk in downtown or feel that they cannot raise their children in unsafe neighborhoods.
Absolutely. Okay, you got about 20, 30 seconds. Give us your final pitch. Why should they show up to the polls and vote for you tomorrow?
Well, I am not a career politician. I am a regular person like you, like all of you, who knows and understand why and what we struggle every single day. I believe politicians in Washington have forgotten who do they work for. So I am someone who escaped communism and socialism. So I will never apologize for defending capitalism and freedom. I am appreciative of America and all the freedoms that we have here, and I will defend it with everything.
All right. That was Maria Rodriguez. Find her on your ballot tomorrow. Donald Pay and Daniel Cobble also.
to Kentucky's Voice Radio online at kyvoice.org.
Welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. You're listening to your special host, Dr. Lance Pearson. We're on this segment. We're going to hop right into it. I want to bring on Nancy Lynn Walters. She is running for Metro Council in the east end of Louisville, basically Anchorage, Springhurst, that area. So can we bring her on, producer? Okay. How are you, Nancy Lynn?
Hey, I'm great, Lance. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Absolutely. Same basic script here. Just tell me a little bit about yourself, what's your background, and what's your connection to the city? How long have you been here? All those things.
Well, I was born and raised here, actually in District 17, where I am running right now. That is my home. I went to Ballard High School, graduate of Indiana University, and now I work for a biotech company in the neuroscience division in sales. And I had a previous career before that. I worked in television news. So I love Louisville. It's my home. I'm very passionate about District 17, and I'm just so thrilled to be running in that area.
Yeah, and we thank all of these candidates. By the way, even the candidates who, even the Democrat candidates who I probably prefer not run, I appreciate everyone being involved enough to run for these races.
Absolutely.
Okay. So just tell me a little bit about why you're running, what your priorities, what are the things that are important to you, and what is it that should motivate a person to come out and make sure that you get onto the general election ballot?
Okay, thank you. So my message is very clear. I have 3 points that I want everybody to remember. Strengthening public safety is very important. Improving our infrastructure, and also streamlining the pathways for economic development. Those are the 3 things that I'm running on. And I'm doing that because I have 2 daughters, one of which is getting ready to go to college. And when she comes back in 4 years, I want her to choose Louisville. And right now, I can't say that with our crime rates, property and also violent crime, that there's going to be a city that she might, choose instead of Louisville. We have crime rates that are outpacing some of the largest cities in the United States, and that should not be. So that is a top area that I will be working on. We have to solve that problem. We have to be a safe city. That's what's going to make people choose Louisville. We have to have fantastic infrastructure, our parks and neighborhoods and different sidewalks and things. Those are the things that make a city a community, and they have to be top notch. I'll be focusing there. And then also we have to streamline the pathway for economic development. We have to make the inspections and all the certifications and the things that people need to run a business and be an entrepreneur. They need to be so streamlined and easy. Otherwise, they're going to choose to go somewhere else. So that's the bottom line. It's public safety, infrastructure, and streamlining the pathways for economic development. That's what I'll be focusing on. And I hope that's why people choose to go to the polls tomorrow and vote for me.
Yeah. And I've actually heard you talk a little bit about that streamlining business practices. Do you want to talk a little bit about more like that? What is it that you want to do, and what is the problem, and what's an example of how this has actually hurt Kentucky by losing businesses because we have such complicated processes of getting businesses approved?
Right. So if you happen to go over to Jeffersonville, Indiana, you'll see that it is booming over there. They've got all kinds of new businesses and infrastructure and things popping up. And if you dig in and ask why, what's going on, what do they have that we don't have? They have very streamlined ways for you to operate and get your business going. Everything's all under one roof over there. You need a certification and an inspection. You need all the things that you need to operate and run. It's very easy. Over here in Louisville, it's just a bunch of government red tape. It's confusing. People don't always have it like easy access for you. And so if you're an owner or an entrepreneur and you're trying to decide where am I going to do business, you're going to look at, okay, well, is it a safe place for my employees to park and to go to work every single day? And then also, is it going to be easy for me to operate?
Absolutely.
And if the answer is no to those 2 questions, guess where you're going to go? You're probably going to go to Jeffersonville or New Albany.
That's
and if you drive over there, it's booming. And we've even lost some great businesses to Jeffersonville, and we never should have done that.
Okay. Let me give you about 20 seconds. What's your final pitch when they go in Anchorage or Springhurst and go to vote? Why should they vote for you?
I am so dedicated and passionate. District 17 is my home. I've got 2 daughters, and I will be fighting and advocating for them and for everybody else's children, grandchildren, niece, nephew, neighbors, everybody. I really want to make this the safest city with the most, with the best infrastructure, and also the opportunities for fantastic jobs. I promise. Just get out and vote tomorrow. It's very important.
Okay. Nancy Lynn Walters, thank you very much.
Thank you.
She will be on your ballot if you're in Anchorage or Springhurst, kind of East End, Louisville. All right. Our next guest on is running for state legislature. His name is Joe Redmond. Can we bring Joe on? Hi, Joe. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good to see you. If you have been voting for Nancy Tate in your state legislative elections, she is retiring. Joe is running for her vacated seat. So, Joe, tell me a little bit about your background and your connection to that community. I know it's Meade County, may have a little bit of Hardin, too, I think.
Meade County and Radcliffe, yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
My background's pretty simple. Been married 43 years, 3 grandchildren, 2 children. Retired soldier. We retired here at Fort Knox back in 2005. We've lived in the community now for about 29 years. Basically, I have 3 grandchildren, and I'm concerned about our future. I mean, I look at the state of affairs in America, and I can't sit back on the couch and just throw food at the TV anymore.
Okay. All right. Now, if I'm sure you've been out working it, you've been knocking on the doors. What are the issues that people on your doorstep are telling you are most important for your community? And I believe you've been an activist. You've been, working on campaigns for other people for a long time. Kind of what sparked you to run? What is it you want to accomplish? And what are you hearing from people that they care about?
Well, what I'm hearing about from our base, the Republican base, is they're a little fed up with us because they're tired of being promised a smaller government, more efficient government, and our budget just continues to grow every year. So we have to do something to rebrand the Republican Party of Kentucky to where when we break huddle at the end of the legislative session, we need to say, this is the measurement that we consider to be successful or unsuccessful.
Yeah.
Did we limit the growth of government? If we did, then we can say we were successful.
Okay. I think that's a great idea. I think most of our listeners and most of your community is probably in favor of a lot less government in their lives. And I wish everyone, when they got up there, they kept a commitment to that. All right. You want to tell me a little bit about your family background, anything like that? What do you think when people meet you on that doorstep, they know you're a veteran? What is it that, why should they think that you're going to be the one that's really going to go up there and fight for them when you get to Frankfort?
Well, the three points that I would make in my campaign were, I'm pro-life. Yeah. I'm 100% pro-life. I believe it's an ideological issue that we have to be consistent. We have to be persistent and consistent about life is valuable. All life is valuable. The second part is I'm definitely pro-opportunity. I believe in an opportunity. When we have opportunities, we should seek them and we should execute them. The third part of this is, like I've already mentioned, we have to have a smaller government. We have to have a passion for making the government leaner and less fat. That's basically it.
Okay. All right. Now, again, Joe Redmond, he's running in Meade County and Radcliffe, just in the edge of Hardin County. This is the seat that's currently occupied by Nancy Tate, who has been a fantastic state representative and I know is a good friend of yours. So closing pitch, if a person is on the couch, they're thinking about sitting it out tomorrow, first tell me why they shouldn't do that, and tell me when they get down to that box, they should click on Joe Redmond.
Well, they click on joeredmond.com and go find out more information. Okay. That'd be a place to start.
Great.
I happen to believe that voting is not really a choice. It's a culmination of a process that you as a citizen have invested in to determine who reflects your values more correctly. Yeah. And so obviously I'm invested in them finding out more about me.
Yeah.
I just think as far as a final pitch, I would say that I'm somebody who is going to go, and we should understand that every dollar that's appropriated in Frankfort, Kentucky is fought over. It's fought. So you have to use this verb fight. We're going to have to fight to convince our federal legislators that that's not what we want to spend our money on. So it's going to be a constant fight.
Once again, that's Joe Redmond, Meade County and Radcliffe and Hardin County. Please, everyone in the state of Kentucky, get out and vote in the primary elections tomorrow.
back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
Welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. I'm your special host today. My name is Dr. Lance Pearson. I'm the president of the Kentucky Liberty Caucus as well as the Louisville Tea Party. You are listening to Kentucky's Voice on 970 AM. I want to remind our listeners that you can find us on YouTube and on Facebook. You go to the Kentucky's Voice channel and click around there, especially on the live tabs, and you should be able to get this video. We also are rebroadcast at 12:30, 4 p.m., and 7 p.m. on Channel 21 if you have Spectrum. It may be this show. It may be some old content. And then if you would like to give to our program to keep programming like this on the air, I encourage you to go to kyvoice.org. You can also text in at 502-571-0970. We've got a jam-packed show. It's going to be hard to work you in, but I promise I will read those texts. All right. For this third segment of our show, we're going to be talking about one race. We've got two candidates that are running for one race, and that is for the State Senate District 14. That encompasses LaRue County, Marion County, Nelson County, Washington, and definitely in our listening radius, Spencer. I think we get quite a bit into Nelson and Washington counties as well. So that is to replace outgoing State Senator Jimmy Higdon. And there are, I believe, 6, maybe even 7 Republicans on this ballot. So people are having a hard time sorting through it. We are having the two most conservative and strongest candidates in this race on for our program tonight. So today, so be sure to take a listen to their pitches and figure this one out for yourself. So first, I want to bring on Stephen Carney. That is with a PH, not a V, Stephen, Stephen Carney. And welcome on, Stephen.
Dr. Lance, it's good to be here today. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. And I thank you for joining, and I thank you both for running. We need conservative candidates to actually get on this ballot, and you two are the strongest conservative candidates in this race. I want to emphasize that. Okay, so Stephen, tell me a little bit about yourself. What's your background? What do you do for work? What's your family situation? How are you connected to the community in a way that you want to basically go to Frankfort and represent that community?
Well, Lance, first and foremost, I'm a full-time farmer. I live on a family farm in Washington County. My father is a big listener of Kentucky's Voice. He and I work every day side by side, running cattle and putting hay up all over Washington County.
Okay.
I also run a real estate and auction company that specializes in farms, land, and agricultural properties. Professionally, I am a professional auctioneer. I've spent a lot of time doing that, traveling around the state, helping volunteering and raising funds for great conservative causes. One such cause that I've supported, I'm sure some of your Oldham County listeners will be familiar with. I was a part of Salt and Light Academy's first First Principles Gala back when they were still First Principles Academy, back before they rebranded to Salt and Light. Great organization up there at Salt and Light Church, making huge investments in Christian faith-based education. I've been privileged to serve as a county magistrate in Washington County. I've been a voice there simply for common sense in county government. I've worked and opposed tax increases, spoken up against irresponsible spending, and because I believe that the people that we elect are servants, I've taken a serious stance on that and even voted against raising my own salary. Been involved with the Kentucky Magistrates and Commissioners Association, being a part of policy level conversations in Frankfort, dealing with how citizens are served at the local government, keeping government efficient and accountable at all levels, making sure that the policies that come out of Frankfort work on Main Street. Also been very active in the community. I currently serve on the board of court-appointed special advocates of the Lincoln Trail. Our volunteers advocate for kids in the court system, dealing with abuse, neglect, and dependency. Incredibly active with the Kentucky Baptist Convention. I've served on the KBC Mission Board, as well as currently serve on the Kentucky Baptist Foundation. So really a long record of service.
Exactly. That's what I was getting ready to say. You clearly have a very strong background, both in legislation and community involvement, all those. So I think that's a great, strong pitch for you. What is your platform? What is it that if you get elected to Frankfort, up in Frankfort, and you're in our state Senate, what are the things that you're going to advocate for? Go ahead and tell us about that.
Really big things that I'm big on, Lance, is making Kentucky a place where families and communities can thrive. Something that I will emphasize on this is we've got to have legislation coming out of Frankfort that works for Kentucky, that reflects our values and keeps Kentucky driving forward.
Yeah.
And that's why I support keeping Kentucky on a fiscally responsible pathway to eliminate the income tax, rolling back burdensome regs and red tape that kill job growth in the state. Yeah. You know, we need a skilled workforce if we're going to attract jobs. Yeah. We've also got a constitutional mandate for an efficient system of common schools. We need to make sure that our taxpayer-funded institutions and education are actually working to prepare our kids to be a skilled workforce of tomorrow and be competitive at getting the jobs that we're trying to bring in Kentucky.
That's right.
You know, okay. I'm a Southern Baptist, proud Christian, proud Protestant of Kentucky, and a strict constitutionalist.
All right.
No matter what we do, I also believe that Kentucky law always needs to reflect Kentucky values.
That's right. That's right. Okay, we got about a minute left with your interview, then we'll bring on Dallas. What's your closing pitch when people in any of those 5 counties, again, LaRue, Marion, Nelson, Washington, and Spencer counties, when they walk into that Republican primary voting booth, why should they be picking you in particular?
Well, everyone that you talk to about this race across the state says whoever succeeds Jimmy Higdon's going to have big shoes to fill.
That's right.
I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. We need to send somebody to Frankfort that knows how the process works, that knows how to govern, and that's proven that he can govern both at the local and state level and can go to work on day one. Yep. And that's what I hope to be for the people of the 14th District.
Right. Okay. Again, that's Stephen Carney, Carney on your ballot. And I want to emphasize everyone again, please get out to vote. Be informed about what candidates that you're going to support. Our second candidate for this same seat, which is Senate District 14, also a Republican, and one of those, 6 or 7 people that will be on your ballot, and you need to determine which one you're going to vote for, is Dallas Robinson. Can we bring him on? How are you, Dallas?
Wonderful. How are you guys doing?
We're doing very well. Dallas was scrambling to get to this interview, and we greatly appreciate you being able to work it out and get on the program. So, again, LaRue, Marion, Nelson, Washington, and Spencer counties. This is to fill the seat that's soon to be vacated by Jimmy Higdon. And I just want to throw out again, I've met both of these 2 gentlemen that are on in this segment, both Dallas Robinson and Stephen Carney. They are the most conservative options on this Republican ballot. Okay, so Dallas, tell me a little bit about your connection to the community. What's your background? What's your business experience? Those sorts of things. So just tell me about your connection to the community first.
Yeah, so I live at the corner of LaRue, Nelson, Marion, a little community called Glennings. Okay. So we go to church and pay we have a 300-acre working farm, a cattle farm with some row crops and some produce and chickens and ducks and all sorts of wonderful things. Yeah. We go to church, pay taxes in LaRue County, and then own a few small businesses in Marion County. Yeah. And my daughter's starting at the Montessori school in Nelson County. That's so great. I'm right at that tri-county corner. My grandparents bought this farm, and years later I bought it back. And in 1975, after my grandfather fought in World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, and then worked 20 plus years at General Electric to finally save up enough money to retire on a farm. And that legacy has meant so much to purchase it back and to continue that legacy, not just in farming, not just here in the 14th District, but also I too served. Yeah. And if it weren't for individuals like that and those who came before us, I wouldn't have had an opportunity to serve.
And specifically, you mean you're a military veteran?
I am. I'm a decorated military veteran. Been invited to the White House, spent just under 7 years in military service.
Okay. And you also were an Olympian, right?
I am. Yeah. I am an Olympian, and I was the state's first ever soldier Olympian. And I think when you try and do both of those, it's a difficult juggle. And it does prepare you for politics. Continuing to grind, continuing to come up against all odds, continuing to fight the good fight and do so at an exemplary level. and always having a long time horizon, understanding that the work you're putting in today and the work that you're putting in yesterday will pay dividends in the future, whether that's in office, whether that's on the national stage as the state's only Olympian, or whether that's on the farm. It definitely applies.
Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about policy. What is it that you want to accomplish if you get up in Frankfort and you're representing all these people that you've talked about your connection with this community for? What are some of your priorities, and what are the things that you really care about and you hear from your constituents that they care about that you want to work on?
Yeah, so a lot like Stephen, a lot of my priorities, a lot of my beliefs come directly from the Constitution, directly from Scripture. And you can't really separate those things and look at service, whether it's military service, providing local, reliable, sustainable businesses and food in your communities, or whether it's legislating in Frankfort, protecting our rule values of faith, family, and freedom near and dear to my heart. And, how do we do that? Standing up for farmers, burdensome regulations, making sure foreign entities aren't using our farmland as investment portfolios.
That's right.
Stand up for small business owners and local jobs. It shouldn't just be the large 300-500 employee factories that get to come in and get wonderful tax incentives and rebates. Your local machine shop and your local feed store, if they expand their operation and they add 7 employees, why are they not on a per rata scale equally as valuable?
Yeah, that's right.
Protecting that base and that lifeblood of the small business owners in rural Kentucky. Cutting taxes, we have a phenomenal supermajority Republican conservative legislator in Frankfort, legislative body in Frankfort, and they continue to reduce taxes. The state income tax from 6% down to 3.5%. And as they've done that, every 0.5% $800,000 that goes back onto our tables, in our gas tanks, and in the offering plate at church. And every time they do that, the state income continues to still tick up a little bit on the tax. The government is not a great allocator of resources or a preserver of wealth. The citizens are. And as much money as we can put back in the pockets of the citizens,
all right,
the better off our economies will be.
We're coming to the end of our segment. Give me your final pitch. When they go to vote, why should they vote for you over the alternatives?
Yeah, so I would say you should vote for me because I'm a proven fighter, a proven winner, a proven servant.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. You can hear the music in the background. I can hear it too. I just want to emphasize, if you are voting in this race, make sure that one of these two gentlemen is a representative in our state Senate. I would advise you to pick whichever one you think has the best chance to win that race. That's Kentucky State Senate 14.
to Kentucky's Voice Radio online at kyvoice.org.
Welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. I'm your special host, Dr. Lance Pearson with the Kentucky Liberty Caucus and the Louisville Tea Party. You are listening to 970 AM. Be sure to check out our YouTube and Facebook channels. That's Kentucky's Voice. All right, if we could put up one graphic for the Louisville elections. A lot of these elections are nonpartisan. I want to emphasize who the Republican candidates are so you can find them on your ballot. Nancy Lynn Walters, if you are in Anchorage, Springhurst, East End area. Lonnie Joseph will be on the ballot. You heard from him last week. That's District 21, Beechmont, Camp Taylor, Winnedot, those areas. And then Jeff Hudson is the incumbent in District 23. That's Highview, Seatonville. There is also a Republican challenger there, David Steff. And for our mayoral candidates, there are four significant Republicans, Tina Burnell, Stephen Datillo, Bob DeVore, and Lisa Harris Holloway. Jeff Yoakum has recently dropped out of that race and endorsed Tina Burnell. All right. So that's your background. Be sure in Louisville that you know on those nonpartisan races. I don't think there's even the option to click an R or a D, but you need to know who those candidates are because it will not tell you which are Republican on that ballot. Be sure that you've done your research when you go into the polls. All right. We're going to bring on our first guest. Both of our guests in this segment are from Northern Kentucky, Kenton, and one of them has part of Boone County as well. And they are running for state legislature against current incumbents, which is always a challenge, but both of these men have run very spirited campaigns and have a real shot to unseat some incumbents. So first, we want to bring on Scott Berger. How are you, Scott?
Lance, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Very well. Let me just hop right into it. We don't have tons of time, so tell me a little bit about your connection to your community. What motivated you to get into this race in particular, and maybe family ties, business ties? What is it that makes you want to represent this community that you're living in, Kenton County, in the state legislature?
Well, I've lived here for almost 40 years. I've always been a good conservative in Kenton County. I served our military. That was the only time I didn't live directly in the area, was when I was serving in the military. I've been a church member here all my life. I currently go to Community Family Church in Independence. I've been a Republican that served as a union member when I worked for the railroad, and I fought for my union brothers. I was a union leader as a conservative Republican, which was not easy. I actually am endorsed by my old union, which is odd, but it's good. Yeah. While in the military, I did serve at the Pentagon on 9/11 in rescue and recovery. So I did do that. I haven't been in combat, but I have seen combat because of that experience, which I still carry with me today. So yeah, I'm excited to serve our people of District 64 and our state.
Yep. Okay. Now, when you're out, and I'm sure you've been working hard, I've heard stories from Northern Kentucky, you've been knocking on doors. When you're knocking on those doors, what is it that you're hearing from constituents about what it is that they want out of their state representative? And then you could just kind of feed this into the same answer. What is it that's your policy platform, and what is it that you want to accomplish if you're able to get this seat in Northern Kentucky?
Oh, yes. So I definitely have knocked a lot of doors multiple times. And I hear from the constituents out there that they're very tired of a representative who doesn't really represent them. We have a representative in our district, Kim Mosier, who is very entrenched in the establishment and special interests. She's very for the hospital monopolies that we have going on. She's actually a direct block to the certificate of need laws being abolished in this state, and a lot of people that are tired of a person who is claims to be conservative, but when the votes matter, doesn't really vote conservative. That being, she's voted against constitutional carry. She voted against the transgender surgery ban and hormone therapies for minors, and she voted against keeping boys out of girls' locker rooms and vice versa in schools. So they're very tired of the same old, and they're ready for change. I know a lot of people have said it's been long enough and we need something new. And I'm offering them that. I'm offering them something new, someone who's going to actually fight for them, because I am actually one of them. I'm a regular person in this district that is just ready to really really take the fight to Frankfurt for conservative values, for constitutional values. I don't want to. We've heard too many excuses from our current representative, and there's too much special interest involvement. So we're ready for free markets in our healthcare. We're ready for true votes for constitutional values.
Yep. All right. I think that's a great pitch. Now, I want to just give some background on this race. Last election cycle, she was primaried by a lovely woman that I know, Karen Campbell, and the current representative squeaked out a victory by, I think, 84 votes last time. So this has all the makings of another barn burner, and there's, I'm sure, like I'm in the 4th district also, I'm sure people are inundated with political mailers and advertisements and whatever. I just want to emphasize these state rep races matter too. In fact, in most years, I would say they matter more because these decisions have a bigger impact on your life than most of the federal elections. Now, this is a heated one, and I do think that these federal elections are super important this time. So let me just give you 30 seconds or so. Give me your final pitch. What's your closing message on why, when they get in there and they're probably voting for those federal races, they need to pay attention to this state rep race and choose you over your opponent?
Well, I've been telling everybody that the choice is clear. So that I was asked to run by the people, and I'm funded by the people, not special interests, and I will be responsible to the people. So elect me as your representative, and I will definitely represent you in a way that we haven't seen in a decade now. So I know everybody is ready for change, and I promise I will be that change, and I will be a change for better.
All right. That's Scott Berger, Berger.
Yes, sir.
And he is running for state rep in District 64.
Sir.
All right. So Northern Kentucky, that's part of Kenton County. I encourage you. I can't encourage you more to get out to vote, not just on those federal elections, but for these state legislative elections too. They have just as much impact in many cases as those federal races that get all the publicity and all the money. Okay. Our next candidate, let's bring on Cole Cusick. Now, Cole, and I want just a second, I want to welcome Cole, but Cole was on a previous show that I hosted, and so I encourage you to find that video of him in that. So welcome back, Cole.
Thank you, Lance, for having me.
Yep. All right, let's hop into it. Tell me a little bit, just remind people of what your background is, what your community ties are. And people can tell you're a fairly young candidate, but that doesn't mean you're inexperienced in politics. Quite the opposite, actually. So go ahead.
Yes, sir, Lance. My name is Cole Cusick, and I'm running for state representative in House District 63, which covers a portion of Boone County, CVG, the airport, and then over to Kenton County as well. But I am a conservative Republican. I have a beautiful wife of 9 years. I have 3 kids. They're 7, 6, and 2 years old. I currently work in private Christian education at Zion Christian Academy. My family has been involved in it for over 30 years. It's a school that my grandparents started a while back. I'm also a small business owner. I rehab homes, and I have extensive public policy experience working for 2 conservative nonprofit organizations, fighting in the battle to see Kentucky as an abortion-free state, protecting religious freedom, making sure that we have our opportunities in education through school choice. So I do have that kind of extensive background, and I'm running, which I'll answer that question, which I know is coming up as well. It's to eliminate the state income tax, Lance. It's to protect children from abortion and the radical transgender agenda, and to defend our constitutional liberty of speech, religious freedom, self-defense, our right to privacy, and states' rights.
Yeah. All right. Now, I know that I've actually follow you on Facebook, and I've seen all the pictures of you and your kids and your wife knocking doors as you're walking around to these communities and knocking all these thousands of doors that you've been hitting for the last 6 months. Just tell me a little bit about what you're hearing on those doorsteps and what's your feel for this election. I know a ton of outside money has come into both your election and the other one that we just talked about. So just what's your feel on the ground, and what are they concerned about, those citizens that you've been talking to?
I've received great support at the door. I've knocked probably 1,400 doors myself. Now that my signs are up, they've run 8 negative mailers on me. They've spent over $100,000 just in TV ads, Facebook ads. So my name ID has gotten very high. But for example, I will open the door. Sometimes people will see my logo on the shirt and say, Cole Cusick, I've seen your signs. I've already looked you up and your opponent. I'm excited to support you.
Right.
I would say about 95% of the time at the door, they're supporting me. They are aware of my opponent's voting record, similar to Scott's opponent, which is trans surgeries for minors, not protecting women's sports, opposing religious freedom and free speech. And they're ready for a new generation of conservative leadership. Many times, individuals are happy that I'm young. They're happy to see a new generation step forward. They don't want to push away the new generation from coming in and for standing up for the same exact values that they care about. So I think my opponent and Frankfort has tried to use that as a negative, but ultimately it's been a positive.
Yeah, well, and it isn't a matter of what your chronological age is. It's how traditional are your values and what are you going to fight for? And the candidate in that race with the conservative values is Cole Cusick. So don't associate young people with a wild liberal firebrand. It's quite the opposite. This is one of the most conservative candidates that we have running. And I will just say, if Cole gets in, he's going to be a leader in the conversation up in Frankfort. I will say that with his background, experience, knowledge of the issues, and ability to communicate conservative values. I'm really rooting for him in this race, but we'll see. It's always up to the voters. And I know, again, we talk a little bit about generational divides, but if you are a boomer, as they call them, my mom, I guarantee my mom would find the appeal of having Cole Cusick representing her. So you got about 40 seconds or so. Give me your final pitch when they walk into that voting booth. They maybe see a name that they've seen before, and they don't follow all the politics every day. What's your final message to them on why they should vote for you in this race?
My final message is that I'm running to return conservative leadership back to the 63rd House District.
That's right.
There's never been a Republican to run against my opponent, and I'm providing that different option. I want to represent and take the values down to Frankfort, which has not been done. And I know that many people are excited to see that happen. So I appreciate the trust and support that the voters are going to have in me. And I want to make you proud, and I want to make you proud and the district proud with what we're going to do over the next few years.
Okay, I want to thank all of our guests, Maria Rodriguez, Nancy Lynn Walters, Joe Redmond, Stephen Carney, Dallas Robinson, Scott Berger, and we just had on Cole Cusick. Please get out to vote tomorrow, Tuesday.